fortune and melody. Fortune and melody. Eu fortunado de.
This has to stop. What did you tell me when I asked you why?
We are the only survivors that we know of.
Who are you? I'm deaf. Deaf.
This is so exciting.
How much? Oh yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Wizard World Virtual Experiences as the crowd emojis wildly. Let me see all those emojis out there. Hit those thumbs up, hit those hearts, throw those funky things that you can do in Twitch. We're very excited to bring you the cast of Candyman in just a few moments, and the writer-director as well is here. We cannot wait. We are having a crazy fun horror weekend. We had Bruce Campbell from the Evil Dead series hosting trivia on Thursday night. We just talked to the cast of Hatchet and Friday the 13th earlier today and Halloween. We are here with the Candyman cast in just a few minutes. And then tonight, it is sold out, but tune in because the cast of Charmed will be playing Cards Against Humanity with some fans, some lucky fans. You can purchase that next time, so don't forget to purchase those. We are Wizard World. We are streaming to you live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, bringing you Comic-Con life to the comfort of your home with this free panel. But don't forget, there are also paid experiences that you can participate in as well. One-on-one private video chats, custom recorded messages, autographs, and as a special treat, director Bernard Rose has provided us with some of his original storyboards from the movie that he is autographing. So check those out at wizardworld.com. It's a brand spanking new website, so check out the newly overhauled wizardworld.com for those purchases. Those live one-on-one chats will happen here, not direct right here in my home, but on Zoom on next Saturday, February the 20th. So you're watching this live or a little bit later in the week, definitely take advantage of those. Hey, don't forget, we can't do physical conventions right now, but we're connecting virtually, so we're excited to see you. You can support our artists and vendors that would normally be at our physical shows at the wizardworldvault.com. So head there for memorabilia from your favorite series and films from past virtual conventions and also physical cons. Again, those are all available at wizardworldvault.com. And hey, thanks to our sponsor today, revealmovies.com. Head to revealmovies.com. It is a online streaming service, completely free and completely original content. So there's no replays of things from movies that have already been made. These are all indie films, indie TV series that are being supported at revealmovies.com. That's REVEEL movies.com. Check them out, and we thank them for sponsoring our panels today. Let's do it. The housekeeping is over. We have fans tuning in from across the U.S., Canada, around the globe, obviously in the U.S., in Vegas, Baltimore, Chicago, Florida, Boston. But we also have folks joining us in Finland, South Wales, UK. Indonesia is in the house right now as well. So shout out your countries or the states that you are watching from in the chat, and I will go ahead and shout you out. We got Massachusetts just checking in as well. I am so excited and so honored to bring out the folks that made this seminal horror film what it was and created the legacy that it is today. Let's kick things off. You know him for his films Paper House, obviously Candyman, the historical romances Immortal Beloved and Anna Karenina, the independent dramas like Ivan's XTC. His most recent works include Frankenstein and Samurai Marathon. He is the writer-director of Candyman. Please give it up for Bernard Rose, everybody.
Hello there.
Hey, Bernard. Thank you so much for being here. We talked to you a little bit earlier this week. We're so excited to have you back for the full panel. Such an honor. And thank you so much for putting those storyboards up. They are works of art. They are a masterpiece. And so we appreciate you giving the fans an opportunity to purchase those.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Let's get the cast out here. He has had appearances on TV shows like Boy Meets World, Baywatch, and Living Color, Boston Public. He's been in films like Little Giants and Baby Boy. He made his film debut. He's not going to look like what he looked like in the movie, everybody. He made his film debut as young Jake in Candyman. Please give it up for Dewan Guy.
Hey, everybody.
Dewan, so good to have you here. Thank you so much for connecting with us and coming out here today. We couldn't have a Candyman panel without you, so thank you. Without Jake, right? So thanks for being here today.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm good. It feels good to be here. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much. Let's keep the party rolling. You know him from such classic films as The Rock, The Crow, Platoon. We're barely going to scratch the surface here for this next gentleman, but in the Nerdverse, where I know all of our Wizard fans like to center around. He has been in 3 incarnations of Star Trek. He has guest starred on Xena, Warrior Princess. He was the voice of Zoom in The Flash. In the horror world, he is no stranger as well. He was in The Night of the Living Dead, the Final Destination series, the Hatchet film series, and he is the Candyman himself. Please welcome to the virtual stage, Tony Todd. Hello, Tony. Oh, Tony, you're muted. Let's get you unmuted there. There you go. Go for it.
Are we good?
There we go, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony,
What's up? What's up, Bernard? How you doing? Dewan,
How are you, Tony?
Mike, thanks for moderating, man.
Of course.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to
Good to see
moderate,
you guys.
not only as a host, but also as a giant fan of the series. So happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Love that reverse T-shirt.
Yeah, that's. I'm gonna get to that a little bit later, but this is the mirror.
All right,
image.
sorry, I didn't mean to ruin it.
No. Thank you for noticing. It is the mirror image, and Bernard has an amazing story. If you didn't catch it on social media, we're going to talk a little bit about how the Candyman 5 times came about, but we'll save that for a little bit later. Bernard. Let's keep this going. She has been in multiple films that have won numerous awards, including Prairie Home Companion. She was nominated for an Academy Award for her performance in Sideways. We know her from her teen hits like Electric Dreams, sci-fi cult films like Dune and Highlander 2, horror films like The Prophecy and The Haunting in Connecticut. We know her from Frasier and numerous TV series. She was recently on the very highly underrated but amazing, if you're a fan, DC's Swamp Thing. Please welcome Helen, Lyle, Virginia Madsen, everybody.
Hi.
Hello, Virginia.
Oh my God. Bernard, I haven't seen you in like 20 years or something.
No, I
And
think
Juwan, and haven't seen
Hey,
you. Tony,
Virginia.
I saw you not that long ago.
Not long, but it was too long ago. So
Yeah.
good to see
Yeah.
you. Lay eyes on you.
It's good to see you guys. It's really good to see you.
It's so amazing. And let's bring out our final actor on the panel today. You know him from his television roles on 24, The Mentalist, Nikita, The Walking Dead. His films include Terminator 2, Heat, Air Force One, Gattaca, again, just barely scratching the surface. But he played Professor Trevor Lyle in the original Candyman. Please get up for Xander Berkeley.
Ah!
Hey,
Oh,
there he is.
it was like,
Xander
it
with
was
the
like
full video connection.
magic.
So great to see all you guys. Oh my gosh.
Definitely.
Oh, this is so awesome. And Xander, you very eloquently wrote on Instagram that today's panel is all about sweets to our sweets on the day before Valentine. And I thought that was very...
Oh my God, that's really good, Xander.
Yeah, it was so beautiful.
My little Valentine's card for my daughter that I was in the middle of making up on there.
Oh,
You know, I'm a big softie at the end of the day, regardless of all those sleazy
Yeah.
bad guys I've played.
I want to kick things off. The film has a legacy unknown to. I mean, it's everyone loves it. It's insane, and it has continued not only through its sequels, but now through was potentially a new film coming out this year in 2021. It's a seminal film, Tony. The character of Candyman you made iconic and lives in the annals of the horror movie genre as one of the greatest characters of all time. I want to just go around the room. Bernard, we'll start with you since you created it based on a story by horror legend Clive Barker. Talk a little bit about just the legacy of Candyman and what just the fact that it's still so popular today?
Well, that's nice, frankly, that it's popular still. I mean, because let's face it, most films are forgotten. I mean, they really are. You can make a film, it can even be a huge success, and then people can't. Some films just vanish; they just disappear, and some don't. And this one didn't, so that's lucky, But it didn't happen. It certainly didn't. It didn't happen that it came out and was a huge hit. I mean, it was a moderate. It did okay, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like it didn't take $100 million at the box office or anything, I think it took time, but I think as Jean Cocteau said, the most beautiful flowers are those which open slowly.
Oh.
So there you go. And every time they make a sequel, they have to pay me.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters, Bernard. There you go.
Well, you deserve that, because you created a whole universe here, and it was really an incredible experience, and you deserve every penny and more. And
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, no, well, it was actually one of those amusing things. They weren't going to pay me, but I knew about it because from various sources, including Mr. Todd. I was just keeping my mouth shut until they were about 3 weeks away from pre-production. And I made my little call to some of the folks at MGM and said, that film you're about to star, you don't own it,
Happy for you, Bernard. Very happy for you, Bernard.
Very happy for you. Virginia, you started to speak there. The film is called Candyman, and that's the iconic character, but it's really a film about Helen Lyle, you know what I mean, and her journey, as the investigator and the professor. And again, that shot of your beautiful face with zoomed in on your eyes, you know what I mean, is an iconic shot from horror films that we still recognize today. You don't even know Candyman's in the background there. You just see that zoom in on your eyes, and we know it's Candyman. Again, what's it like to be part of the legacy of this series?
Well, this is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, I'm so proud of everyone's work in this movie and on this movie, and of course, that was that close-up you're talking about. That's the only time that Bernard would let me wear makeup, because he, wanted my eyes to look different than when I was not hypnotized. But because of our DP, of course, they made me look like really incredibly beautiful, and it was at an age for a young girl where you don't always feel that way. And so thank you, Bernard, because I did feel very beautiful.
Well, I think it's an interesting thing about the way that close-up is lit, which is one of the things, Tony Richmond, who was the DP, Tony had been for many years the assistant to Nick Rogue. And he was the assistant to Nick Rogue when Nick was hired to shoot Dr. Zhivago.
Yeah.
And and Nick was then later fired off Dr. Zhivago because he fell out with David Lean. But Tony actually stayed on as the assistant when Freddie Young took over the picture. But I remember actually specifically the close-up that you're talking about, I said to Tony, I want this lit like, the close-up of Julie Christie in Zhivago. And he goes, oh, I know the one. He goes, it's the one with the snoot and the little, that's the one.
You know that?
That was literally it. And it's the same exact lighting situation, because he stayed on the picture after Nick left. So he was there when they shot that stuff. You know the one where she's doing the ironing and she's looking at Yuri.
Yeah.
You suddenly realize she's in love. A very, very good shot. But it was actually David Lean who came up with it.
Oh, you came up with that.
Yeah, it was all
anyway. I never knew that story. That's really cool.
True. Yeah.
Now I can tell everyone. Well, it was because of Dr. Zhivago, that thing. wanted me to look
Well,
that.
Bernard, that speaks to your credit as a filmmaker. Again, Candyman stands outside of the realm of like slasher films and horror films at the time. It really is a masterpiece, I think. Just the cinematography, the music, everything that goes into it. J.D. Smith, digital artist, just said this, and I think it's a great quote. Bernard makes one of the more complex horror villains with Candyman. He's a victim, which isn't something most boogeymen are. Also, his choice not to disfigure Tony Todd's face presents a romantic quality to all of his scenes with Helen. You said it. It's not only a horror movie, it's a psychological thriller. It's a romance film. There's so many layers to it. And Tony, I want to turn to you just about the legacy, because a lot of fans chiming in, you know, Genie 4, can't imagine anyone but Tony Todd bringing the Candyman to life. Sharon Kugler, Tony Todd is amazing as Candyman. I mean, what does it feel like to have this legacy as a horror icon from this original film? Yeah,
Well,
I know. I went heavy on you there. No?
yeah, when I got selected to be part of this amazing film with everybody on the screen I have personal connections to, and I appreciate that. Xander and I did a film before Candyman called Driven. Dewan, I run into you all the time. Bernard and I have an upcoming project, Virginia, I Love You Madly. As Bernard said, the film didn't take off right away. It was about a 2 or 3 year lag time.
Sure.
I remember distinctly today, I was shopping with my daughter at a mall in Ohio, and people kept running up to us like, Candyman, and she just got so upset. And she reminded me of a very stoic fact. She dropped her little shopping bags and she said, "That's not Candyman, that's my dad." That moment, I realized two things. The movie was taking on a life of its own, and I had to keep things in perspective, that was another role that has also taken on a life of its own. Everywhere we go, conventions, I've been at conventions with some of you, you see the lines, you see how the fans respond, how they want to take pictures, how they want to try to capture a moment that we all created in this film. So I'm honored and blessed by it. I never think that anything is the pinnacle, because that leaves little to achieve going forward.
Sure.
But I'm extremely proud of our 1992 experience.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Xander,
and the fans are the ones that have continued the legacy and keep us all employed, underemployed, fully employed, all the above.
Xander, talk about your work on the film as well. Tony just mentioned you guys worked together beforehand. What was it like coming into this film and being a part of it at the time, and then realizing sort of the legacy it's had since then?
Well, I'd seen Paper House.
Yeah, great film.
And I just felt like Bernard was onto a vision of horror that others weren't at the time. I was never really drawn to the slasher realm. Sort of steered clear of it. It was an area that you felt like you could get some splatter on you and not be able to quite wash it out, career-wise. And so it was the first horror film that I went, this is a horror film I want to do. And this is the filmmaker I want to make it with. And I just went all in on it, and I was delighted that I got the part, because I felt like then as we started to find out that Tony was shooting it, and I knew of his legacy as a cinematographer, and Philip Glass was going to be providing the music. Immediately you knew you were in a different, it wasn't a subgenre. I think of it as an uber genre, something that was above genre, and that it was, I like to call it classic smart art horror. And
smart art.
I think people forget that a lot of the thing about horror as a genre is obviously it's a debased genre, but that's good for me, because to me the most debased genre is Oscar bait, and so that's the lowest genre. Then under Oscar bait comes you can come up with people rank the genres, and horror was always at the bottom of the pile.
Sure.
But if you look at the horror, has always been the best horror films are made by the best people. Stanley Kubrick, Ingmar Bergman, Roman Polanski. Yep. The nicest people, the best people. And the people who make Billy Friedkin, the people who made great horror films are real filmmakers, And it's very, very hard to make a horror film because, you know, with a drama, you can say, well, you didn't get it. With a horror film, if you didn't scare them, goodbye. It's over. It's like a comedy. So I think comedy is the highest genre because it's the hardest. Definitely.
But you don't get the same quality of art visually in most comedies. It's rare. And when I think of the early Gothic black and white horror films that my father introduced me to when I was a kid, that really are the ones that made me fall in love with cinema.
Of course, the one that did both is Young Frankenstein. Gothic, black and white, and comedy. But anyway, yes.
Yeah, there we go. That's
also elevated. Young Frankenstein also elevated to a certain sense, right? In the comedy world. Yeah.
It might be the best comedy film ever made. It's certainly Mel Brooks' best film, which is a pretty high bar, you know.
I definitely agree. But Bernard, you sell yourself short. I mean, you like you said, you made this film. You made this film that subverted genres at the time. And to Xander's point, it's a classic art piece that just happens to be set in this sort of horror universe, but it's really not. You know, it's this classical film, and I think that's why it's lasted, which is so cool. Dewan, talk about joining this at such a. How old were you, first of all, and talk about coming on to this film. I know you had been involved in the film industry, but this was really your first like major on-screen appearance. Again, talk about being a young kid in Chicago. You know, happening on this awesome film.
Wow. Well, I have so many like Candyman stories just for me and my friends and everything. But being part of this, like, first of all, I never will forget Virginia running out after my last audition and telling me, you got it. I think we were like about to get, and I was like, it was overwhelming I was so excited about doing this movie. And the funniest part is, skip that to the cast and crew screening, I can't watch the movie. I'm scared. The music scared the daylights out. This movie was a love story that as a kid terrified me. I did just so everybody know, I didn't want to go to sleep by myself. I didn't want to go to the bathroom. I can remember being on the set of In Living Color and we're saying Candyman in the mirror. We didn't get past 3 times.
No.
And I'm like,
I can't believe they made you do that. That's wrong. That's just very wrong.
It was the truth. I slept with my aunt Irene, who was on the set as my coach, and you know my coach mom and all of that. I had to sleep in a room with her for about 3 months. You know, I don't know when I finally watched the movie all the way through. Well, I went, you know, I went to the movies to see it.
Yeah.
But you know, closed my eyes.
But you know what? Dewan was such a tough little kid. I gotta say, whatever he wants to put out there, being sensitive and scared. I never met a little kid. This motherfucker over here in the corner. It was hysterical when you came up. You were like, "Hey, how come they got those big trailers?"
That's right.
Oh my God, you were just hysterical. I never met a kid. Like, really, I'm looking down at this kid going, whoa, get out of the way. Dewan's coming through.
I was, you know, I wouldn't be, you know, part of like everybody else, I guess. It's crazy things. I don't remember that. I remember going into the trailers. I remember they were nice trailers. It wasn't a honey wagon, you know. But I was just like, yeah.
About that as a kid.
Yeah.
Well, you were, I mean, Dewan, you were really, you know, I think that everyone responded to you because you were really a prodigy. I mean, you were so strong for such a young person, such a kid, and so smart and so observant. And like you always had your lines, and you know, you were really, really good at what you were doing at such a young age. And I think that we all responded to the confidence that you had. And plus it was just fun doing scenes with you.
I had a blast. I was tuned into Jake, you know, I was tuned into Jake. I think somehow I found my way to relate to him, you know. And it was just about being in the moment, taking it moment to moment and and being real. And my aunt, I give that, you know, my aunt was my acting coach. She went to college for theater, and she used to travel the country doing speeches and so forth. And she really coached me, and she taught me everything that I know. And even to this day, if I have an audition or something, I'm going to call her, and she's going to be the one to say, no, that's unbelievable. Or, you know, what was that? I want you to be real with me. Talk to me here, you know? And I worked that thing, and people to this day, even though I got a beard and everything, will still recognize me from Candyman. They'll still come up to me in the mall, and they're like, man, you did that role, Jake. I was scared of you as a kid. You was a bad little kid. And I tell you, I said, I ain't scared of nobody. I ain't scared of nothing. I ain't scared of nothing. You the one crazy coming around here.
So great, Devon. Devon, and the fact that you said you were just locked in, and you were like, you could see that in your eyes. You could see that in Jake's eyes, that he was there for this, and it's so real. It's such a great performance, and kudos to you. I mean, as such a young kid, being able to pull that off in an intense film, we recognize that as fans. So, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job. We were talking about people being scared. Everyone, it's Shano 14. I mean, it's hilarious to hear you being in Candyman being scared, because I know we all were too. Shano 14. Candyman is the movie that got me into horror. Saw it as a kid, scared the crap out of me. Aaron J. Official. Candyman is the one movie that actually scared me. This movie scared the HE double hockey sticks. That's from Evelyn Gennardi. So it was a success, Bernard. I mean, it was a success as a horror film, but it was also a success as an art piece. I want to talk about the setting. You know, the Clive Barker's original story takes place in the UK, but you chose to move it to America and to the city of Chicago. What was that? How did that choice come about? Because it's such an important part of the film, shooting in Cabrini Green. And I know it is going to be a part of this upcoming film as well, showing the juxtaposition. So talk a little bit about that. And then I want to hear everyone else, all the actors just shooting in Chicago, and what it was like at that time. But let's start with you, Bernard.
Yeah, well, the original story was set in Liverpool.
Yes.
In a housing project in the UK. So obviously it had a very different atmosphere. But neither Clive nor I wanted to shoot a film with Scouse accents, because Clive's from Liverpool. You know, because I mean, for my sins, I'm actually about to go and shoot a film in Liverpool. But anyway, so but that's the way life goes. Sometimes it's a weird circular thing. But Clive had a lot of problems with Hellraiser, because whoever paid for Hellraiser made him loop the whole film and changed the setting from being specifically wherever it was originally to some sort of weirdly kind of nowhere America. And I also think Clive wanted to move to America. Well, he did move to America, but I mean, he was in the process of doing that. But both of us thought we should make it an American picture. So he was like, well, I was like, well, where do you want to set it? I don't think nobody really then cared. And I picked Chicago because it was a place I'd heard of. I think I might have been there once. So then I went on a location scout and said to the Illinois Film Commission people, you know, do you have any scary looking housing projects? And they were like, yes.
Yeah.
They just took me to Cabrini Green. I went there and honestly, I found the place very disturbing, quite shocking. And I think that's at the heart of what the original story was this idea that you can have a modernist space that has become decayed and is frightening in itself, as opposed to a Gothic space. And I think that was, you know, obviously that was in the place, but a lot of things came out of the setting which were not just to do with that, and not just to do with the original theme of the film, which was basically about class, because they were poor white people in the story, and you know, so it added the whole extra layers that then came out of it. But so it came out of something real. It wasn't something imposed. It was something that I think the reason it still had some resonance and impact is that I wasn't looking to do anything. It's just what came into the film. I'm a great believer when you're making a film, you have to leave the door open to the studio so that someone could walk into the shot that you haven't organized. You know, if everybody's shut down everyone's closed and you can only come in with an assistant director's permission. Your film is kind of hermetically sealed and it's limited by your imagination or your knowledge. So I think you have to like let other things come in. And once the sort of Cabrini Green came in, all the stuff that's become powerful that sort of is obviously being followed up in Nia's film and in the film that Nia and Jordan have made, it comes from that, you know, in a different way. But I think that's really interesting that it's kind of then continued on for like nearly 30 years, you know?
Hey, Bernard, you talked at that one panel that Tony and I did with you and Sam Raimi about the fear element that Cabrini Green.
Yeah, I was scared when I went around it. That's the point. And, you know, I'm not, films don't frighten me, I have to tell you. I'm frightened by real life sometimes, but not by film. I never met a film.
It was a war zone.
Yeah.
You filmed the movie. You filmed the movie in the wars, the Cabrini Green projects. At that time, I learned most of this later.
Yeah.
I remember all the police everywhere when I was a kid. There was police everywhere. And they were snipers on the roof. Wow. They were, I mean, that was a rough neighborhood to be shooting in.
But the thing that really impressed me when I was researching the script is that I went in there the first time with the Illinois Film Commission people and I think 3 cops, you know, literally. And
wow.
Shown around like that. And you saw one kind of thing when you did that. But then I met somebody who lived there who was a young woman with a baby who basically the character of Vanessa Williams' character was based on. And I went back and on my own later and just like had dinner there and hung out there a bit without all the cops. And then it was very different. It's just somewhere people lived, you know? And I think that was also very, you know, normalcy exists in the middle of terrifying things all the time because in the end, people just want to get on with their life, you know?
Facts.
Oh,
Facts.
that is, Bernard, that's the movie. Normalcy exists in the most horrible places. You know what I mean? That's it. It's people just live there. And I think that's a beautiful sentiment, you know, because it is. Tony and Virginia, you spent the majority of your time in those buildings in that area. You know, what were your experiences like at the time shooting there and portraying, you know, a real life place, you know what I mean, in this sort of fictional universe?
Well, I can only speak after the fact. I mean, you know, I've returned to Chicago many times for different projects, theater and so forth. And Candyman took on a whole legacy of its own after we left. Yeah. I remember going to a screening for another movie and the ushers took me to a place where people had written their own hieroglyphics and graffiti about Candyman that exists to this day. I've also heard rumors of a real Candyman that existed before we even shot a single scene. And I remember Bernard and I, during prep time, we were hanging out at one of my favorite blues bars in the country, Kingston Mines. And I just wanted to listen to music. And Bernard is telling me, man, this role is going to make you unforgettable. And I'm saying, what about that song, man? And we ended up laying down our own music. So Chicago is a special place to me. And it's not just Chicago, you know, Chicago is the ground zero of our experience. But if you take housing projects all the way across the country and blighted urban development areas, you'll find that the love of Candyman has almost become sort of an urban mythology. And we all collectively are part of that.
Yeah, it became.
Yeah, absolutely.
Virginia and I, we did our own pre-movie preparation, you know, the ballroom dancing moments on 3rd Avenue, 3rd Street, and so forth. And
where I stepped on your feet all the time.
Yeah, and you made me drink that cup of yellow soup when I was doing my personality test of you. I think I spit it off my shirt.
Yellow
Going, oh my God, am I not going to be in the movie now? And Xander, I had known for a brilliant little film called Driven.
Well, I'm from Chicago, and I remember I had to deliver a singing telegram to Cabrini Green one time, and so I had my sort of Helen experience, like, well, I'm going to bring these balloons, and I'm going to do my stupid song and dance, and not that I could sing. But it was its own urban legend in Chicago, and and it was a really scary place. But I think us bringing a film there, it brought a different experience to the people who lived there and really welcomed us there. Chicago, of course, Cabrini Green is now gone, thankfully, but there were scarier housing projects in Chicago.
Robert Taylor Homes.
Taylor.
The Robert Taylor homes, yeah. Because my dad was a fireman, and so he worked there. And so I knew more than a lot of people about these places. And so here we were suddenly making a movie. And it was a great privilege to be able to make a movie in my hometown, because I haven't before that, I haven't since worked in my hometown. And you'd think with all the movies they film in Chicago that I'd be in all the TV shows, but I was like, so it kind of is cool that it remains this singular experience in my life. And oh man, the Madsens were just pouring out of the woodwork to come onto the set. And it was a great experience. It really was. But ours was not really entirely at Cabrini Green. I mean, we had these extraordinary sets that were designed by Jane Stewart, our wonderful art director, with, Bernard's wonderful vision. And of course, though, I remember Bernard walking around with that spray can of blood, and you were always like, there's not enough blood, more blood. You remember that, Xander? And it's like you spraying blood out, and I was like, yeah, he's kind of right. We really needed some more blood.
There's never enough blood.
We had beautiful, beautiful sets, and I'm gonna have to take a look at your artwork, because I'm kind of bitter that I don't have any of it, Bernard.
Well, actually, funny enough, I have the originals.
Oh yeah, show us. I've got one as a virtual background that I will put.
Yeah, these are literally drawings that were done.
Oh.
Quite large. And there's like,
oh God, why don't I have them?
The whole book of them.
Why don't you? You need to make a book.
I did make a book of them in the Arrow re-release. I published it. It was published as a little booklet. Yeah, the whole thing.
I think we should have like one of those Taschen, coffee table books of.
Someone should do that, like a Taschen book of Candyman. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, they definitely should. Great. Yeah,
that's great. I want one. I know I'd want one.
Here's the final scene. Here's the final scene. So beautiful. There's you, Tony, and the in the
oh my gosh.
That's right.
Well, that we did film there. We did film the fire there.
Well, not the fire was, and it was done in. This is the original picture.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Oh, wow.
So awesome.
Oh yeah. That was some night. I can remember I ended up falling asleep that night.
Well, it was in the middle of the night. It was so late for you to be working.
Yeah, I was working hard, but I don't know. I was asleep. I went to sleep on it. But that fire was so real. I can remember how hot that fire, like going against my face, even when I held the torch in my hand. And that's iconic, though. That scene, that whole scene,
so good.
Was just iconic.
That's a very good point, because I think that, this film was really at the very end of the pure analog era. Nowadays, if you did the fire scenes, you did the bee scenes, there's no way they'd let you do it the way we did. The way we did those fire stunts, honestly, it was pretty hairy. It wasn't, it doesn't feel safe doing that stuff with fire and with real fire. It's all real fire, and the same way it was real bees,
Exactly. You can't get away with passing bees now.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to do real bees. I mean, you could just.
Oh, but it wouldn't feel the same.
It
mean,
feel the same.
Oh
it
my gosh,
feel the same.
No, it was so good.
Between a CGI bee and a real bee is a real bee goes where it wants.
Yes, like in my ear.
Wait a minute.
or
Hold on a
my
second.
nose.
Wait, hold on a second. I think I found one in my ass.
Yeah. I mean, Tony, you have to talk. Tony, talk about. I know you've infamously talked about the bees often, but it's so good to hear every time. Yeah, the 23,000, I think, it's almost become its own urban legend. Is the story of Tony Todd and the bees?
The bigger
yeah, it's like a million bees. I mean, talk about the bees, and I know Virginia, you were in that scene.
We
as
had
well.
Norman Gary, our bee wrangler, who is solely responsible for either creating tension or soothing it. Yeah. And I remember distinctly that the bees had their own trailer. I'm sorry, Dewan, but they had their own honey wagon. Norman said it was time to meet them, and he said, "Come on in, come on in, come on in." And then they're buzzing around, and he was saying, "They're only babies, and they'll never sting you." And they started talking to him, and I said, "Any person that has that sort of love and attachment for what they do, we as actors have to carry that on." So, yeah, every scene we did it, and then instead of having a modern technological device, it was just a ray vac. You would take a little
he had the little
put it in my shirt and get them all out.
Leaving. Yeah, but you had the flying bees. I only had the baby bees.
You had the baby bees.
It wasn't bad when they poured the bees. When they would pour them on you. When it wasn't so bad because they feel like little Q-tips, but then it's after they say cut, it takes 3 or 4 times as long to vacuum the bees. It doesn't hurt the bees. But you have to go into this sort of Zen mode, waiting for like 25 minutes for all the bees to be out of your hair and off your neck. And in your case, like out of the coat, and you got stung a bunch of times. Thankfully, I didn't.
Thank God.
I think most people got stung. A lot of people got stung on the cruise as well. And I actually asked Norman at one point. I said, "Hey, Norman, you're doing this all the time. What's the secret?" And he said, "The secret is not to care."
Great.
A little Zen.
Great.
A little Zen, kind of a Zen bee moment. Xander,
But I remember there was a day that it was. We're in the lair, and Tony, you had to open up your jacket, and all the bees fall on my face, and you had all the bees in you, and there was this netting that was up like all around us, and then like paramedics there, and I was like, gee, that's really confidence building, but it was like, but no, we were not swarmed, but God, it was terrifying.
Xander,
that's what actors do though. Yeah. Like if you want, you're on an audition and they go, "Can you ride horses?" And you're like, yeah. Of course I can. And they're like, "Do you mind if you have bees all over your head?" And you're like, "Nah, I'm not afraid of bees."
Is that better now? Or now they'd be sitting there saying, "React to the bees that we're going to animate later." And that's not better, really, is it?
No, it's not, because there was a very certain thing that we experienced because it was real. And I wish, do you have the footage from when I'm in the hive?
Oh, you mean like the original ending thing?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Oh,
no.
And that's a good segue. Well, I want to shout out to a fan really quick, because Dewan, you have the exact question I'm asking. This sort of applies. This is sort of a question for Xander, but then Bernard probably is the only one who knows the answer. This is from Pipeys, I think. It's a question for Xander about your death scene, and spoiler alert, everybody. But they don't show the actual killing. They skip to the bloody bathroom and the body. And so the question is, was there ever a consideration for filming the actual deed happen and sort of show what happens? Or was it meant to be left open and kind of like for interpretation for the fans? Xander, why don't you talk about your personal experience with it? And then I want to hear Bernard's answer.
Yeah. I like telling the story that he wasn't killed in the original script, but they did show some screenings ahead of time, as I recall. And I still remember Bernard coming and goes, "Nate, they want you dead, Nate. They want you dead." But I'm up with a great idea. And he just did this great, wild way, enthusiastic.
You guys are all bull. I want to point this out.
We all have it.
You think that I was doing this?
He was constantly twirling his hair.
See the thoughts
Maybe
really exploding like cloud. That what we're going to do is, and he basically said that you're with this little chippy and she can't even cut a fucking steak, and she said you're going crazy, you're in the bathroom and you're there, and you say it 5 times, and there will be gouts and gouts. She's going to rip your stem to stem. And I'm like, whoa, wait, what's happening? And you're going to go back. Oh, you are going to. Okay, I'm going to be dead, and. That's sort of become a signature for me. I think around that time I got shish kebabbed in Terminator 2. And
Exactly.
People kind of didn't want to see me survive a film. And I played the kind of characters you kind of wanted to see dead. But I thought really just for a little bit of philandering, but you know, when you philander on Virginia Madsen, you deserve to.
You can never underestimate the judgmental quality of an audience. I think, you know, the thing about it is that originally the script ended very similar to the way it did end.
Sure.
And then we kind of decided not to do that. And I had this more slightly poetic ending, which is basically the same as the shot that's in the film under the titles, except it goes through the crack and you see Virginia as the kind of about to be resurrected kind of thing, which is basically the same makeup as she's in the bathroom scene anyway. But then yeah, it just felt like it needed more energy, so we went back and rebuilt the apartment.
Oh, Bernard, was there intention at that time to actually do a sequel featuring Virginia?
Oh.
I mean,
No. Look, I mean, the whole thing about the sequel is fucked up, but.
Tell us more. Tell us more, Bernard.
Some of it is my fault, but the part that I was involved in was that, you know, Steve Golan, who was the producer of the film, who was an amazing producer, made many great movies. He passed away sadly a year and a half ago. He never liked the movie. He had this really brutal way of talking. Like I would run him cuts and he'd go, I go, what do you think, Steve? He goes, I don't know, it's okay. I'll be like, oh. And he was always right. He was always making things better. If you asked him for more money to reshoot something, he'd find it. So he was a great producer, but he was not an enthusiast. And so the week after the film came out and it made some money, he called me into his office and he said, hey, buddy, you're making some dough. Write me a sequel. And I went, okay. I thought, you know, I mean, because I was just like, Steve, he was a man of few words, but he meant them, you know. And so we made a deal to write the sequel. And I went away to write the sequel and I was working on it. And I was doing it all. And in the middle of that happening, I made a deal with Icon to do my film about Beethoven, Immortal Beloved, and I kind of, to be honest with you, got more interested in that, and I still owed them this Candyman script, you know, and I hadn't written it. You know, it's that awful thing, you know, when you get offered a thing as a writer and it's great, and then you suddenly don't have a fucking idea in your head. I was like, I did that between one end of the. You know, I just had zero ideas, but I didn't mean I wasn't going to deliver the script, or I was going to have to give the money back. You know, yeah. So I did finish it. I did write the script, and it was wild, the script, and I gave it to Steve, and he called me up the next day, and I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "That's the worst script I've ever read." Oh. That's like he was very blunt, Steve, and I went, okay. He said, what are you going to do? And he says, I'm going to hire somebody else to do it. I said, okay. Well, that's the end of that.
Do you have it somewhere? Is it on a hard drive or like printed out in like a vault somewhere or what?
No, I actually don't have a copy of it.
Wow. Oh my god.
But it wasn't. But I'll tell you one thing is that you wouldn't like it because Tony, the reason he really hated the script, not only was Virginia not in it, Tony wasn't in it. There was no Candyman in it. The script was actually about Jack the Ripper.
So like an anthology kind of urban legend thing.
That was my thought. He said, why didn't you have the Candyman? I said, because unless I'm much mistaken, he died at the end of the first film. I know that doesn't mean anything in horror.
Bernard, you just ruined the second one, the third one, the remake. No, I'm kidding.
but having said that, I still think now, nearly 30 years later, that a film that began right after the end of the first film is what should have happened. It should have kicked off with Virginia, and in the characters that you see at the end, that should have come back. I mean, no, I don't want to say anything about other things because I may know things that I'm not supposed to know. But anyway, but it's I think that obviously the direction that they've gone in with the new film is different because it relates directly back to the first film. But I think that if people want to continue making them, there is an argument for making a film that's really directly picked up in 1992. It would be kind of funny to do that.
I feel like everyone here, if we all just agree to let Bernard talk for at least another 10 minutes, we're going to get the full plot of the new movie. Let's not do it. Kristen Tinham says that they completely related to Virginia and Cassie's parts at the time, being discounted as intelligent, inquisitive women. So many ways you can relate to that. So, not only was it, I know you said an important feature, Bernard, was not imposing anything on the audience, but I think not only my good friend Victor Dandridge, who interviewed you earlier this week, says not only was it a seminal film for Black culture at the time and continues to be one, it's also an important film for women. You did so many things that maybe you didn't realize you were doing or you weren't intending to doing, but have lasted throughout the years, and so we thank you for that, and we thank all of you for being a part of the film, because that's why it's so popular today. We're almost out of time. I want to remind the fans that they can purchase those one-on-one video chats, autographs, live video recorded messages at wizardworld.com. You can also I've been scrolling through a couple of them. They don't even do it justice, this terrible virtual background, but the beautiful storyboards so Virginia, if you want one, you have to go on our site and purchase. No, I'm kidding. But they're on sale.
Probably will. Yeah. I probably will.
They're on sale, and they're beautiful. Anyone who's a fan of filmmaking, horror, I mean, they cover so many genres, and so just art in general, should head to the Wizard World Vault and check those out. Bernard, you told this amazing story. I've got my t-shirt here with the mirrored image Candyman 5 times in the mirror. So many comments coming through with just people that couldn't make it to that 5th time. So the question that Victor asked you earlier this week, I want to ask the cast today is, have you ever said Candyman 5 times in a mirror? Bernard, tell us the story though of how it became 5 exactly. And then I want to check in with the cast about their experiences with the Candyman legend.
You want to ask them, right?
I was going to say, Bernard, tell us the story though of the legend of the 5 Candymans and how that.
Oh, no, yeah, it was originally in the screenplay. It was 13 times, and then when we came to the first read through, it was just like somebody got a doggy.
Angel. She doesn't like that.
I didn't like that.
She never.
It was originally 13 times, and when we came to the first read through, it was just like, cut it down to 5. I was falling asleep after time number 8.
Yeah. Remember that read through though? That was such a great read through. That table read.
Yeah, you remember that?
For the first time. Sometimes they do that in the theater all the time. They do it on sitcoms. They very rarely do it for films. And I really feel like it has a spirit to it. It creates a cohesion where you feel like you've told the story beginning, middle, and end with the group.
Yeah, no, it really only works if you can get as many of the cast there as possible. You have to have as many people there, even people who only have one line, because often it's the best chance for them to meet everybody,
Dewan, you talked about it. You couldn't even watch the film. It scared the lights out of you when you were young. Has there been a point where you've gotten to try it out at all? The Candyman in the mirror 5 times?
Oh yeah. No, saying Candyman 5 times. Yes, I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. No, not saying Candyman 5 times in the mirror. I know Tony and me cool and everything, but I just never did it. I never thought to. Not that I'm scared now. I could probably do it now, but I just haven't done it. As a kid, I was scared to do it, and everybody was scared. I mean, it was known. They said something earlier about people from Chicago. I want to say every time I meet somebody from Chicago, they know Candyman. Like we got a lot of love in Chicago for Candyman. And my family came from Ohio, Virginia.
There you go.
Just to come on set too, because I was from Dayton, Ohio originally. So yeah, I can relate to that, kind of being close to.
Yeah, Midwest. There's a ton of fans in the Midwest right now, all chiming in, excited to have a movie that represents their area for sure. Xander, Virginia, Tony, any Candyman stories of attempting it for real, or any fun fan experiences?
I've only seen the film once in its entirety, and that was at the Toronto After Dark Film Festival, where the audience went ballistic, and that was enough for me. I mean, I personally, I don't really like watching my own work, because I cringe. I say, I wish I had done this instead of that. I'm sure you're all aware of that. But I have people coming up to me all the time, reiterating the plot point by point, scene by scene. So that's a testament to all of our collective work. So I'm happy.
I have sometimes when someone wants an autograph, they will come up with a mirror for me to sign, and I'm like, oh, that's good, that's interesting. Oh, sure. But sometimes someone, like I've had many women pull out like a compact and go, here, like, do it. And I'm like, no. They just think I'm going to do that. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to. I didn't even do it in the movie. So I'm not going to do it. If you notice.
I think actors have the willing suspension of disbelief as part of their craft. So they can imagine things happening. That's what we do for a living.
Right.
I did a production of Shakespeare's The Scottish Play, which isn't allowed because it has a legendary curse attached to it. Right. And horrible things happened. And I was very young, and I went, you know what? Oh. I'm just going to avoid the whole challenge a curse.
Right.
Very smart, Xander. But again, a testament to you all for portraying your roles in the film. Testament to Bernard for bringing it to life. That it still exists. It's still a thing. It's still a thing that freaks people out and is a part of the horror genre and just the horror verse. And so we thank you for being here. We are out of time, but I want to just go around the room one more time. So many people showing their love in the chat from, again, across the US, Canada, South America, also in Europe, and some folks really up really early in Australia right now. I think it's like 5 or 6 a.m. Tuning in. So shout out to our Australian friends. But yeah, just some final words for the fans that are here and that tuned in for this experience. We'll go backwards the way we came in. So Xander, why don't you kick us off?
Well, it's all about, like Tony said, the fans, because if the tree falls in the forest, no one hears it. It's as if it didn't fall. And we were heard by you, not, as Bernard said, immediately necessarily, but continually and growing so over the years. And it's really been a joy to be a part of it. And all hats off to Bernard and the vision that you brought to this to make it so special. And to all of you guys. Love you.
Love you too.
Thank you, Xander. Virginia?
Oh, I'm just so pleased that we're still doing this and we have a chance to reach out to the fans who have really kept this legend alive, and I am just so glad to see all of you, not in real life, but just to get us all together was really a joy for me, and to be able to, at the same time, since we can't meet our fans in person, it's just wonderful that they're tuning in, and I'll be there for the individual chats as well.
That's awesome.
But thank you. And I love your t-shirt, man.
Yeah. I'm a fan. This is an honor for me just as much as it for the hundreds watching. So I appreciate you all coming together. Thank you. Tony?
Well, thank you, Mike, for coordinating this event. Thank you, all my lovely actors and director, for making this continuous stream that keeps paying off. I hope everybody's looking forward to the new incarnation, retelling, right, whatever we're doing. But I think it's going to be quite a lot of surprises in that. We couldn't have done this without the cast, the crew, the citizens of Chicago that have kept the legacy alive. So God bless fans everywhere. Don't just keep horror films alive, keep good films alive. You know, we don't all just do horror films. We do a lot of different genres, and that's what keeps actors, you know, fresh and ongoing. So just support the work, not just for us, but for everybody. And one day we will be untrapped by this Zoom responsibility, and we'll be able to interact again. I can go hear some blues again in Kingston 9.
Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. I love it. I love it. Dewan?
Hey, it's great being here, and I just want to say thanks to all the cast who made. Thanks, Bernard, Virginia, Tony, Xander. All of us made a legendary movie. Yep. It's a legendary movie that is going to be told for times. Our grandkids are going to be talking about this movie probably. So it was great to be so fortunate to be a part of the cast. I'm looking forward to the live chats next week. I'm looking forward to hopefully COVID being over. And like Tony was saying, we can interact with the fans because being able to do that is so great. Yep. And peace, y'all. I'm out.
Oh, thanks, Dewan. And last but certainly not least, Bernard, send us home here.
Well, yes, it's lovely to see all of you, all the cast, and all looking well. So that's good. I don't know. It's like, you know, my eldest daughter was born at the end of this production, and she's going to be 29 in April. That means it must have been a long time ago. It's like a terrifying thought. But yeah, it was a long time ago. But yeah, 20. For anything to have lasted that long is nothing short of a miracle, because,
agreed,
you know, the law of entropy is always upon us.
The film is iconic. The score, we didn't even talk about Philip Glass. My gosh, the score is iconic. The characters are iconic. We can't wait to see Daniel return in some fashion in the new Candyman film coming out. Kara Nafsi reiterated your thought, Tony. Keep film alive. Keep theater alive. I know a lot of you come from theater backgrounds as well. Once that starts kicking back in, I know that's going to need a lot of support, so keep theater alive. And keeping film alive, our sponsor today is Reveal Movies. They have a brand new streaming service that is only independent films. So it's independent films, independent series that they are showing for free. It's all just about exposure. So we shout out to them because it's a tough scene right now with no festivals and things like that going on. So shout out to Reveal Movies. And thank you once again to the amazing cast and writer-director of Candyman, one of the greatest horror films, elevated classic films of all time. Please give it up one more time. One big round of emojis for Xander Berkeley, Virginia Madsen, Tony Todd, Dewan Guy, and Bernard Rose, everybody. We'll see you next time. Have a great Saturday and happy early Valentine's Day, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Sweets to the sweet.
Sweets to the sweet. Oh no, don't do it.
Il fortune non